from Gracia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 27th of March, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Kicking off this show, the U.S. Department of Justice publishes a press release on Friday the 21st saying that a Georgian citizen, Polad Omerov, was found guilty of plotting the murder of the Iranian dissident journalist Mahsa Ahmadinejad. U.S. authorities say Iran's government hired Omerov and an Iranian national, Rafat Amidov, to kill Ahmadinejad for $500,000 US. Omerov worked with Eastern European criminal groups and received direct orders from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. His team tracked Ahmadinejad and supplied weapons, including an AK-47. In 2022, U.S. police arrested the hitman Khalid Mekhdiev before he was able to carry out the attack. A jury convicted Omerov and Amidov on multiple charges, including murder for hire and racketeering. They could be sentenced to life in prison. In other international news, on Friday the 21st, Berlin's administrative court raised doubts about Germany's classification of Georgia as a safe country. In late 2023, Germany made it easier to reject asylum applications from Georgian citizens because people did not face any real danger in their country, so there would be no reason to seek asylum. However, a recent court ruling challenged that decision. The court made the statement after considering the case of a Georgian couple who appealed the decision denying them asylum. The husband, former public sector veterinarian, said he lost his job for protesting against the Russian law. His wife said she faced pressure at work for participating in demonstrations. The court ruled in their favor, allowing them to stay in Germany while their case is reviewed. A related note, Regina Askerova, a Lithuanian human rights activist and former journalist who's lived in Georgia for 15 years, says authorities denied her entry into the country without explanation. She currently leads the South Caucasus office of the Swedish women's rights organization Kvinna till Kvinna. Friends and journalists said that she is married to a Georgian citizen and holds a Georgian residence permit. On Thursday the 20th, she posted on Facebook that she was turned away at the border with officials citing the other reasons clause on the form, which usually means they don't want to state the reason, but the reason is that the person was a public champion of human rights and democracy. European Court of Human Rights has registered a case filed by the Georgian Young Lawyers Association regarding election secrecy violations during last year's parliamentary elections in Georgia. The organization says that widespread secrecy violations occurred in electronic polling stations because the mark made by the voter on the ballot was seen from its backside. After exhausting all legal options domestically, they turned to an international court. A total of 74 complaints were filed in Georgian courts, but local courts dismissed all of them. Speaking of elections, Shalva Papuashvili, chair of parliament, criticized opposition's parties' plans to boycott the municipal elections in October, calling them anti-democratic and extremist. Municipal elections are the second most important in the country after the parliamentary elections. Opposition parties that won mandates in the last parliamentary elections have refused to recognize the results, calling them fraudulent and denying legitimacy to the ruling party, the Georgian Dream, or Kotsebi. As a result, some opposition representatives have already spoken against participating in the municipal elections unless their demand for new parliamentary elections is met. According to a new UN Women's Studies on gender equality in Georgia with over 1,200 participants over 16 years old, despite some positive changes, there's some deep-rooted stereotypes still around. 95% of Georgians hold at least one stereotype about women's employment. Many believe a paid job helps women be independent, but nearly half think men should have job priority when work is scarce. Over half say men should have final say in family matters. 71% think women should focus more on caregiving. 63% of the population see women in politics as beneficial, but many think it's hard for women to get elected. Family responsibilities and traditional gender roles remain the biggest barriers. While 91% reject domestic violence, fewer, 78%, believe that the community shares this view. Generally, men are seen as having more control over their lives, particularly in marriage and decision-making. The government has allocated 2.5 million lari, which is $900,000, from its reserve fund to support the recovery in Guria in western Georgia after a recent severe snowstorm devastated the region. Recall that in February, we reported that heavy snowfall in Guria left many residents cut off, with roads blocked and electricity and tear gas disrupted. Some homes collapsed. Volunteers from Tbilisi and other regions brought food and medicine. Authorities mobilized emergency services, rescue equipment, and defense forces to assist affected communities. Speaking about funds, the government decided to allocate 43 million lari, which is just over 15 million US dollars from the Ministry of Education's budget to support 53 educational institutions across the country founded by the Georgian Orthodox Church. Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze also issued a decree transferring land and buildings in Skheneti, a historic city near Tbilisi, to the church. The property, covering 2,000 square meters of non-agricultural land, was transferred for 1 lari, which is 35 US cents. According to TV channel Pirveli, Georgian court has granted victim status to Khareba, the head of the Special Task Department responsible for carrying out Bidzina's brutal crackdown, beatings, and torture of pro-European, pro-democracy protesters. Khareba, who was sanctioned by the U.S. and some European countries, tried to justify the police repression, saying that some of his unit's equipment was damaged or went missing during the protests. Boo-hoo. He also alleges that protesters broke the windshield of a water cannon vehicle. The court also recognized that police department at Tbilisi City Hall and a Hugo Boss store damaged during the protests were victims. Despite well-documented evidence of 400 demonstrators and journalists being beaten and tortured, no police officers have faced any charges so far. On that note about demonstrations, the Georgian Young Lawyers Association said that fines for blocking roads during protests have reached 2 million lari, which is over 700,000 US dollars in the past 5 months. The organization says these penalties, introduced amid ongoing political repression, severely violate the right to assembly and free expression. Kotsebi amended the Administrative Offenses Code in November, soon after the protest started, increasing the fine for spontaneous roadblocks tenfold from 500 to 5,000 lari, which is 180 to 1,800 US dollars. Police enforce these fines using facial recognition cameras, which serve as the sole evidence in court. In sports, Sunday the 23rd, Georgia defeated Armenia 6-1 in a football match at Tbilisi's Dinamo Stadium, but the victory was overshadowed by an incident after the game when a group of Georgian fans threw bottles and insulted Armenian supporters. Levon Kobiashvili, president of the Georgian Football Federation, criticized the fans' behavior, calling it unacceptable and warning UEFA might impose sanctions. Kobiashvili expressed appreciation for Armenia Football Federation, highlighted the strong sports ties between the two countries, including their joint bid to host the 2029 U20 FIFA World Cup. He emphasized that football should unite people and not create conflicts. Closing with some cultural news, Tbilisi Open Air, the biggest independent music festival in the South Caucasus, will take place on the 24th and 5th of May. This year, the festival will focus completely on Georgian artists and reflects the ongoing political unrest in the country. Organizers aim to celebrate freedom, equality, and solidarity while uniting artists who uphold these values. The festival will feature not just music, but also performances from Georgian theater, national ballet, local music labels, a natural wine festival, and Tbilisi Book Fair. A portion of the ticket sales will support contemporary art and cultural organizations, with attendees given the option to donate as well. Tbilisi Open Air 2025 positions itself as a cultural movement supporting artists and in need. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us, listening to us on Spotify. Did you know that you can leave comments or questions in the episode? Click on the comment box. Don't worry, they're private by default and we will not publish you. But if you want us to get back to you, share your email and we'll write. Nachmandis.